So good evening. My name is Madam Assumpta, and I will be your facilitator through this English teaching methods course. And we are going to interact as the course goes by. So the purpose of this course is to develop you students with the proficiency in the 4 language skills, that is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So this course will focus on the practical methods of language teaching, specifically the 4 macro skills of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So the expected learning outcomes, the course intend to achieve the following objectives: to introduce students to English language curriculum, familiarize students teaching and listening skills, familiarize students with teaching of grammar, teaching of reading, teaching of writing, and also the teaching of vocabulary. We are also going to see the integration of English language and literature, as well as be prepared for instructional planning and how to prepare the lesson plan. So we are also going to have some cards and assignment, and also we are going to have the main exam that is out of 70%. So the topic 1 is a curriculum, and the English language secondary school curriculum comprises all the content taught in a subject. The development of any school subject curriculum is guided by the national goals of education. The goals are developed to guide a country's social, educational, and developmental agenda. From the country's national goals of education, general education goals are developed. So, the objective of this lesson, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to listen with understanding and respond appropriately, speak intelligibly and intelligently in English in different situations, read intensively and extensively, understand the passage by following its content, arguments, and logical sequence. So, first of all, begin with these general goals of teaching English. So the goal is also referred to as aim or objective. A goal is foreseen, as it is impossible to write a goal whose cannot be foreseen. It should therefore be written for a situation that permits end results to be identified beforehand. The goals identify the kind of any level of language proficiency the student will attain in the program, if the program is. So, goals and objectives in education appear in curriculum and syllabus. Curriculum is programmed outline of study containing program objectives, selected subject content to be learned, appropriate learning strategies, instructional materials, and mode of evaluation. A syllabus is detailed specification of objective and content within a defined field of study, derived from the curriculum, and it shows what is to be learned within a specified period of time. The English language syllabus has general objectives, specific objectives, subject content written in summary form. The curriculum is thus broader than a syllabus, and the syllabus is part of the curriculum. Understanding the nature of educational objective is first and foremost a matter of understanding what is involved in the acquisition of knowledge. An aim is foreseen, end result which is written for a situation that permits the end results to be identified beforehand. It is impossible to write an aim whose result cannot be foreseen. Since the end justifies the means, the objectives determine the mode of implementation procedures. Objectives also dictate the types of content, teaching methods, resources, environment, and procedures as a program adopts. For example, curriculum implementation. Objectives should take care of total development of human being. Development should be in the following 4 areas: cognitive domain, affective domain, psychomotor domain, and social domain. Cognitive, this has to do with intellect, facts, and knowledge. Affective concerns emotions, values, attitudes, or habits. Psychomotor involve use of manipulative skills like writing skills, speaking skills, playing football, conducting an experiment. That is psychomotor domain. Social domain, this concerns human relations. It involves interactive skills. In the actual teaching, there should be integration of the domains as much as possible. It's further argued that the aims can only be written for those learning situations that permits end results to be identified beforehand. Such aims direction to the content and activity in the lesson. Various ways are used in different countries to select objective. For example, the objectives can be choices of expediency, for example, because they are the easiest, most convenient, or least controversial. Again, just accepted without exploring alternatives and choosing between them, and also imposed upon a situation from outside for political or personal reasons. You should note that the format chosen to select objectives should be appropriate to the situation and it should necessitate their achievement. Let us now see the factors. Decisions about curriculum objectives are affected by the following factors. Contemporary life outside. Our society is dynamic. It is in a constant state of change. Such, the objective must be selected in accordance with major current education trends and inventions and innovation. An example of this is integration of technology through use of computers. For these reasons, analysis of implications of societal changes should be done beforehand. Another factor is the manpower employment patterns. These are normally dictated by new behavior requirements in education, health, welfare, politics, and social activities. Social and cultural patterns of behavior are in a state of evolution in the world over, and students should acquire the skills and attitude needed to cope with everyday living in the society. Objectives should therefore be selected in accordance with the major current trends, such as the use of technology like computers in school. Another factor is the need of the student. Addressing student needs analysis should be done. The aim of needs analysis is to identify the type of knowledge, skills, and level of language proficiency the program should aim to deliver. Needs analysis is also concerned with identifying general and specific needs for each subject. They can be addressed in developing goals, objectives, and content. The goals of students vary and must be determined before decisions about content and methods can be made. The needs of the student may emerge from contemporary social life and from individual himself. So, let us see the needs analysis. Needs analysis may focus on the following: who the students are, their present level of language proficiency, teacher and students' goals and expectations, your teaching skills and level of proficiency, constraints of time and budget, available instructional resources, societal expectations, and what skills the student will be required to use on completion of a certain program. So, focus on the next talk, the teaching of listening and speaking skills. So, listening is an inferential process of extracting meaning from an oral stimuli. Hearing, on the other hand, is perception of auditory stimuli by human ear, which may not be necessary with understanding. Listening is both a receptive and an active skill that may or may not require a response. It is intentional with the aim of comprehending what is altered. Hearing is not intentional. Speaking, on the other hand, is production of speech sound or making verbal utterances by human beings in the process of communication. It is the act or instance of uttering words for communication or expression of thoughts in spoken words. The process of speaking is incomplete without listening. The fact that speaking is a productive skill calls for a careful understanding of the dynamics of communication. Teaching of speaking skills is aimed at attaining oral fluency and accuracy. Listening and speaking are language skills that should be taught together in the actual classroom situation. So, people understand us from the way we pronounce words. Wrong pronunciation can cause communication breakdown. The importance of proper pronunciation cannot be overstressed. Pronunciation encompasses the production and the proper correct reception of English sounds and words. It entails your knowledge as the teacher of English and how and where the English sounds are articulated. It goes beyond the production and reception of English sound, and it also examines the way some words are stressed and others are not. In other words, pronunciation covers articulation, stress, and stress syllables and intonation. So, to be able to communicate intelligibly and for academic purposes, students should be taught standard English pronunciation, the language that is found in academic books. You must be a good model of the standard variety of English you teach. In Kenya, we use British Standard English. It is important that you display proper pronunciation for your students to emulate you. So, pattern influence in most cases predisposes your student not to hear and identify the difference in sounds that are important when learning a second or foreign language. You should identify the problematic sounds that are non-existent in the mother tongue. Students in this case have to be exposed to such sounds and identify them. So, by the end of this class, learner should recognize, articulate, and use correctly English language phonemes, vowels, and consonants. Listen with understanding and respond appropriately verbally and in writing. Listen and respond spontaneously and fluently to conversational prompts. Identify and use correct stress, intonation, tone of variation, rhythm in utterance. Make grammatical correct sentences verbally. Express the ideas verbally in different situations. Present oral reports from what is read and on everyday experiences. Conduct a conversation intelligibly. Phonemic awareness entails knowledge on how the meaningful units of sound, the phonemes, influence the production and perception of sounds of that language. These consequently influence communicative intelligibility in the language. As you who is supposed to be knowledgeable in this area, you should assist students who have problems in differentiating, for example, between chip, sip, and the way they are articulated. Phonetic awareness, on the other hand, involves the general knowledge of how human speech sounds are produced and received. In the process of verbal communication, your phonetic awareness should help you assist your students where they have language 1 interference with the learning of language 2. So let's now see pronunciation. Pronunciation is related to phonetics and phonology. Phonetics means the speech sounds of particular language. Phonology is the study of speech sound and systems of language. English language has 44 basic sounds, which are too many to be represented by 26 letters on the alphabet. Phonetic script as well as digraphs, consonant clusters, and diphthongs are therefore used to represent the 44 sound. It's important to note that not all differences in sounds are phonemic, and knowledge of vowels and consonants would help students of words and pronunciation. Vowel sounds are characterized by free flow of air from the lungs for the vibration of vocal cords. For example, pen, bean, alveolar, for example, toy, die, velars, for example, king, give, nasals, for example, mom, not, lateral, for example, look, affricates, for example, choke, and judge, semivowels, for example, yes and shoe, velar, for example, sing, treats, for example, roll, rabiodental, for example, fail and veil, dental, for example, thin and tear, glottal, for example, high. There are other features related to pronunciation that control meaning. These can only be heard when we speak in sentences or in larger units of sentences, like in dialogues or speech. These features are stress, intonation. So stress means the force by which the voice bears on another. And at word level, stress distinguishes between parts of speech. For example, produce, noun, produce, verb, present and present. In many other words, though, stress is fixed, which means it does not change. Intonation, on the other hand, is a fluctuation of voice pitch or speech methodology as part of structure of sentence. This involve loudness, syllable length, and sometimes speech rhythm. Some languages make a functional use of intonation, like varying meaning of a word by changing the intonation. Stress and intonation can also give additional information to that given by words of an utterance. For example, I got the job, by emphasizing the word got, and the rising intonation at the end implies it was doubtful if I would get the job. The best way to teach stress and intonation is to expose students to a variety of spoken sentence patterns. This should be presented in natural settings like simple dialogues. A good English book would also help in teaching. Tone is related to intonation and is suprasegmental phoneme. Rhythm, the other phonological feature is rhythm. There are two types unique to English language and indeed to most languages: stress-timed and syllable-timed rhythm. Stress-timed rhythm occurs when the time interval from stress to stress is more or less the same. The unstressed syllable is between the pronouns within an equal length of time. For example, I told you to lay it on the floor. We now turn to strategy that can be used to teach speaking skills. To be able to teach listening and speaking skill efficiently, you should be a role model. Ensure you are able to pronounce English sounds and words correctly. Since students will be copying you, you should also have knowledge of the phonetic script to be able to check the pronunciation in particularly words, especially the problematic ones, from a dictionary or phonetic books. So a number of teaching techniques can be used. One of the methods is use of meaning pairs. For example, cup, lead, read, shoe, sew, church, judge. These are best taught in their context so as to show students their usage in sentences. This also helps to bring out the meaning. Another technique is teaching pronunciation is asking students to listen carefully as you utter a word, either singly or in a sentence. Then ask them to identify the uttered word. This is called auditory discrimination. The problematic sound should be identified first before students can imitate you. Another technique is use of testers, also use of dictation to teach pronunciation of words. Games. For example, these communication games, we have games like describe and draw. You look for pictures that would help to practice pronunciation and of English language sounds that students find difficult to pronounce. Another game is student A mixes up pictures that should follow a particular pattern, then holds the mixed up pictures and describes them to student B. B arranges the picture in sequence on the basis of A descriptions. B may ask questions on clarification or to generate more information. When this is done, ask the rest of the class to judge whether the pictures have been arranged in order. Another game is find the difference. Another game is debates, group discussion. Yeah, that is all about teaching of listening and speaking. So next, the teaching of grammar. So there has been a lot of debate about the teaching of grammar in English language. Some have tended to stress the teaching of grammar from a prescriptive point of view, while others have stressed the descriptive and functional aspect of language. Those who stress prescriptive grammar insist on teaching rules which indicate that what should be said and or what should be written in a language according to traditional grammarian. The linguists and language teachers who prefer teaching descriptive grammar base their ideas on the functional use of language and on the usage of language by the native users. You should therefore have a proper understanding of grammar in order to be able to help the student to communicate competently in English language skills. So, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify the word classes and their function in the sentence, use correct sentences, structures in various situations, note common errors, identify them in their own work, demonstrate creatively and flexibly in sentence constructions. So let's begin with grammar and the language system. Grammar can be defined as the rules by which words change their forms and are combined into meaningful sentences. Grammar constitutes the organizing principle where sounds are related to meaning and vice versa. It comprises two main elements, morphology and syntax. Grammar covers a wide range in English class, and it is present in all the four basic language skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. It is made up of organizing principles where sounds are related to words and meaning. Without grammar, our utterances would be unintelligible. Grammar also takes the central position in the wider language system as seen in here below in that diagram there. So, morphology is the study of names and their different forms, that is allomorphs, and the way they combine to form words. Morphemes forms the items of the language, and they are the smallest unit without grammatical structures within themselves. There are two main forms of morphemes, free and bound morphemes. The free morphemes, they occur independently, and bound, they combine with others to form words. This describes the range of items in a language. This includes how words combine to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. It also deals with words order in sentence formation, for example, subject and verb and object. As these aspects are not mutually exclusive, you should teach them in complete sentences to show their usage. So let us now see the types of grammar. We have three types of grammar. Structural grammar, that shows how words combine to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. We also have traditional grammar. It deals with labeling parts of speech, and we also have prescriptive grammar that prescribes grammar rules to be followed to construct correct sentences, or it prescribes what people should say or write. We also have some English language competences. As the English teacher, you should aim at developing among your students the following competencies: linguistic competences that involve speakers' knowledge of a language, communicative competences that requires the speaker's ability to put language to communicate its use appropriately, and also pragmatic competences or strategic competences that requires the speaker's ability to use language for a range of public and private functions, and also socialistic that is strong feelings. So all the types of sentences, they should be taught in the correct use and context. So ensure your familiar terms, especially the 9 speech, the nouns, verbs, pronouns, adverbs, adjectives, prepositions, conjunctions, articles, and also interjections. So the ultimate goal is to develop the ability to use language in meaningful communication, not just rote learning of grammar rules at the end. And also to be able to describe the function of subject, object, tenses, phrases, clauses, and even sentences. So is the general criteria for selecting grammar teaching methods. The choice of teaching method is left to discretion of you. However, there are certain criteria that need to be taken in consideration before a method is selected. For example, student objectives, the context of the teaching, the time requirements of the method, the demands of the method, the type of resource materials, availability of required resource materials, the objective that the method help to achieve, the number of students in the class, the students entering behavior, your abilities and inclinations, domains, and communicative language teaching. So let us now see this communicative language teaching. It's an approach that helps to teach English in a more productive terms of developing both linguistic and functional skills. It was introduced after British linguists were dissatisfied with the existing methods of language teaching English. So let us now see communicative competency. Communicative competency is ability to know if utterance is formal, informal, feasible, or appropriate. These are pragmatic aspects of language use. The characteristics of communicative language teaching. Proponents of this approach argue it is important to look at communicative aspect of language rather than mere mastery of structure. When teaching, students are expected to discover rules of language underlying a functional expression, inductive, avoid teaching the rules, the deductive, and the aim is to provide relevant and purposeful language activity. So, techniques deductive in teaching, language games, use of role play, flash, use and drawings, use of audio tapes, the 3D objects, and also reading substitutional tables. Also this forward yes, and also we should know that these types of groups, we have bus groups, we have task groups, we have syndicate groups. Advantages of group work and we are going to